Welcome to our podcast. This is Kingdom Calls in association with Cronin's 00 Cider and Parker's Bar in Kilflynn, where we are situated this evening to bring you this podcast where we'll be looking briefly back on Kerry's great win over Armagh and looking forward, of course, to the All-Ireland quarterfinal on Saturday evening when they go to Croke Park to play the old enemy Tyrone, and we'll just have a brief prediction then from the two boys on who they think will win the other three quarter-finals. Before we start, I think it would be remiss to start any football podcast or anything GA without passing on our sympathies to the wife and family and all involved in Galway GA on the death at a very young age of Paul Clancy. Paul won All-Ireland, has 2 All-Ireland medals with Galway, and he also won county championships, Galway titles with them, and he was involved with the team in 2008 when they won the All-Ireland Intermediate Club, I think it was. He was also involved with his own club as chairman up to 2023, and to lose somebody of his calibre at 49 is so sad, and we would like on behalf of everybody associated with Kerry GA and particularly our podcast to pass on our sympathies to his family and his many friends. So now we will turn to matters on the field. John Kennedy, you are here as a former Kerry great. Though I often wonder about great. You're an events manager, according to Ambrose O'Donovan. You also used to fly and kick like David Beckham. So it's a huge honour for us to have a man of your calibre on the panel. And of course the man from SD. And there is no way I can get into my head or my mind SD and David Beckham. Those, I can't get it, but I understand your predicament and your position. It was well earned, winning your All-Ireland medals. And this events manager thing, you've been doing this for quite a while on the sideline as well as selling fireplaces.
It's surprising me, Murt, some of these comments, but sure, look, I think the older you get, the more confidence you get, I suppose.
Yes,
but,
and the great have to bear great burdens as well.
To be compared to David Beckham now is another story, in fairness. I might have played a bit of soccer, but
you invented the banana kick in Kerry soccer.
Yeah.
First man to score a banana type free kick. You were incredible. You were a great left peg. But the only trouble with you playing soccer, and I remember this man playing soccer back in the 80s, etc., and early 90s, and every occasion he'd just forget himself and he'd go up and field the ball. So he picked up quite a number of yellow cards for deliberate handballs. Do you remember those?
I remember those, Murt. They were good days, and we enjoyed them. And
big crowds.
Big crowds.
And to get to your pitch out in Tom Sullivan's place or wherever it was in SD, you had to walk through a meadow, John O'Dowd. You had to walk through a meadow, and then you had to walk through another big field with a big bag of balls, etc., and the whole lot. By the time you got to their playing pitch, you were tired. So that's why they always They always won.
It was a daunting task, Murt, when you left the road to go down.
Absolutely.
But look at the facilities they have now out there in Ashton Rovers, fantastic.
Unbelievable. And of course we have John O'Dowd. John is the freelance reporter sport, any sport really. He's involved, he writes for the Kerryman, he writes for the Examiner, and he drives you mad as well. But he also is obviously a commentator with Clubber. Lads, you were at the game over the weekend against Armagh. Did it surprise you how easy in the second half that Kerry went to town on Armagh?
Yeah, it did, Murt. I'd say the margin of victory in the manner of the second half certainly surprised us. Going into the game, Kerry had a victory up in Newbridge against a Kildare team. They're a Division 3 team, expected to do it, and they did it without coming out of second gear really. And Armagh then, were coming back, having been beaten, which was, to sucker punch they were 30 seconds away from a quarter-final, and Samuel Rice kick ended up in the net, and as they say, the rest is history. But apart from the opening quarter of an hour, Kerry were in complete control. I thought that it was a very polished performance. It showed the strength and depth of the panel we have. Defensively, we were very well set up. Starting with Shane and goals, his kick-outs were excellent. He made 3 or 4 great saves, reflex saves. Didn't matter in the bigger scheme of things, but he did it. Middle of the field, we were in control. And I suppose we've spoken about it several times since, the 4 across the middle. Big, strong men able to win, but their work rate is unbelievable.
Marco Polo, he's
outstanding.
I think, was it 8 midfield possessions he had, 4 catches, he had assists, he had everything. Complete performance.
Complete performance, yeah.
He'd have been in directing for man the match. Only Cliff obviously does what only Cliff does. And score, was it 110 he scored, lads, or 111?
110, yeah.
110. So I mean that actually made a difference. John O'Dowd, what did you think of the performance? Is there more in them? Did I need, because
there's definitely more in Kerry. I think if the halftime whistle had been blown 20 seconds before the halftime whistle was blown, I don't think Jack O'Connor and Kerry would have been overly satisfied with the first half performance. They would have been going in with a 3-point advantage, 1-8 to 8 points, having played with the breeze and having seen Armagh dominate a lot of the possession stakes in that first half. I know it was more laboured, slow, lateral, keeping the ball for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, running down the clock type possession, but it was also Armagh having the ball, which was stopping Kerry from getting more scores. So I think everything changed on that turnover and the Jason Foley kick downfield and the keeper being out and Paul Ganey using his brain and his composure that possibly nobody else on the field would have had for that particular situation. And then when they were 6 points up, that was a sucker punch for Armagh. I don't think Armagh recovered. No. From going in at half time, 6 points adrift, even though they would still have had the breeze in the second half. But Kerry were way better second half. They were really controlled, they were dominant, they kept Armagh at arm's length easily enough. They added on the extra couple of goals, 2 brilliant goals from Joe O'Connor and Keith Evans. But I do think there's still a lot more in the tank for Kerry. Like you said, John, about the week before, playing in second or third gear against Kildare. They didn't go through all the gears the last day either against Armagh. They didn't have to, because they were in a comfortable position. Like, Jack said something afterwards that you don't often get a chance, to see a game out from 20 minutes to go, kind of knowing that unless you really fall apart, that you have got the victory sorted already. But I do think there's players still not at their 100% fitness levels. There's players coming back. There's players not at their very best form yet. And it is probably a frightening prospect for all future opposition that I do think Kerry can get better over the next month.
Yeah. We're odds on to win it, which is unbelievable. And the closest to us, I think, is 5-1 or something like Galway are next in. But do you think that Armagh were mentally or psychologically shot because of what happened with that late goal the previous week, then having to travel to Killarney, although it was a 6-day turnaround. Effectively they were travelling down Friday, etc., and they stayed overnight in Tralee, I think, on Friday night and going out. So effectively it was 5 days, they weren't sleeping in their own beds that night, they were in a hotel. While Kerry and Jack, despite what your Brolly writes, Jack he's a pass master at just getting the team at the level that they want when they go to Croke Park. Now, I know they went to Croke Park, but we're going there now. But when he needs to, and to the same last year, and we had injuries and we got beaten up in Tullamore, and then we started to hit the ground running, as it were. Do you think that he is, his game plan or his strategy is that we peak when we go to Croke Park, unlike Donegal, who peaked in the league final, who peaked in Killarney, and who got caught by Dublin? Yeah,
it's about peaking. As you said, Jack has a down to fine art, when whether it is by design or by whatever way it is. The injuries have been very disruptive for him, but he's getting strength and depth. And coming back to the Armagh, for the opening 15 minutes, they started well.
Yeah.
I'd agree with John. They had a lot of possession, but they were over and back the field, and they slowed it down. And I think that was the time they should have been kicking on and asking questions of Kerry. And it was typified by Charlie O'Burns, the pass to Joe McElroy. It was at his feet, and the Kerry lads came around. The ball came to Jason. A brilliant flick by Graham Sullivan to Jason.
Yeah.
The long ball in, and then Paul Gainey finished it. And you could see the Armagh management on the line. The heads dropped.
Yeah.
They didn't recover from it. To be fair, there's a huge difference going in 2 or 3 points down or 6 points down. Yeah. And Kerry kicked on at the start of the second half then, and it was game over.
Yeah.
It was game over then. You couldn't see Armagh come. They struggled, the question has been asked as well, is that should there be a break? So many weeks in a row, is it fair? It was
should it be neutral?
We were fine for Kerry. We were at home, but if we were up in the athletic grounds,
totally different game.
A different game again. To be fair, and that's you have to be fair to every team. But the margins of victory and how narrow it is quite evident. But if you look at Armagh, they were literally seconds away from a quarter-final.
Yeah.
And the ball ended up, like if you were taught that Ethan Rafferty would drop that ball into the net, he's probably one of the safest pair of hands in.
They talk about a week being a long time in politics, but a week has been an eternity in the Gaelic Football Championship this year. If you go back to last Sunday night and then rewind the clock to the previous Saturday morning before Donegal took to the field against Cork in Ballybuffet, Donegal and Armagh were probably the favourites for the championship with Kerry. They were considered the 3 best teams, probably followed by Galway.
Yeah.
In 8 days, Donegal went from a shock loss to Cork to being beaten by Dublin and gone. Armagh went from the Sunday to a shock loss with a last kick of the game against Louth to being gone from the championship by Kerry 6 days later. And now Donegal and Armagh are gone. And the whole destiny of Sam Maguire has been changed utterly in 1 week of football. That's how quickly the championship can change.
Is that because of the new rules or the format or what, John?
It's just a mixture of several things. It's the competitiveness of the new game has brought a lot of teams to fancy their chances, because you're not really out of games anymore the way you used to be under the old rules, because 2 or 3 2-pointers and that's your 6-point deficit restored and you're back in the game. I think a lot of teams feel now that they can compete with the bigger teams, and you don't have a standout team like Dublin, when Dublin were winning the 6 in a row, that you could kind of nearly say they're always going to be in the final. At the moment, and we would hope to think that Kerry are the next team in line to follow in Dublin's footsteps. But in all honesty, Tyrone could pull a shock out of the cards this weekend. Dublin could pull another shock and beat Galway. And then the 2 favourites, Kerry and Galway, could be gone. And then whose All-Ireland is it? It's totally up for grabs. And every team in the championship, even before last weekend, the last 12 teams in the competition, every single one of them had lost already. Yeah. So there's no unbeaten team. Yeah. So it just shows you that everybody has a chance.
Momentum is huge as well, isn't it? When you're on a run and you have a team on the back foot, like John said, 6 or an 8 or a 10-point lead, it's not what it used to be.
No, definitely not. Right, so pleasing performance, and pleasing to get the likes of Gavin White and particularly Sean O'Shea back on the field again. That was very, very positive as well. So
I think we have to mention Dylan Gainey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As an individual, his development over the space of 2 years, I would say now, has been pretty sensational. If you go back to this very weekend 2 years ago when we lost the quarter-final to Armagh, Dylan, I think, came on as a sub that day, and he kicked a late point. Maybe it was the equaliser to bring it to extra time, and he had a chance afterwards for the winner, and it just went narrowly wide. But he was only making his way in the squad at that stage. And fast forward now, and everything he has done in the 2 years since at intercounty and at club level.
I think the club has really helped him.
And back into intercounty level. And he's a bit of everything. He's a finisher, but he's also a creator. He's passed to David Clifford the last day. He's passed to Joe O'Connor the last day. They were what you would claim as Clifford-esque passes. Never mind the finishing that he also has. He kicked 5 points as well. He's an absolutely massive player for Kerry. And at 24 years of age, he's not even close to his peak or close to the levels that he can get to. So it's just brilliant that while you have the Cliffords and Sean O'Shea and Paul Ganey, now here is another A-grade forward, isn't he, John? You know what it's like.
No doubt. And I suppose, John, the tree up, it has created that space where the quality footballer, the kickers, the footballers with brain, they're going into space.
Yeah, Maurice Brosnan in the Examiner podcast, and John Fogarty was writing about it today in the Examiner as well. They've actually put the hyphen back in football. It's football. They kick it so many times rather than running it through the lines and getting all caught up, using energy. They're outstaying teams, outlasting teams, they're out kicking, they're out playing teams, and it's mainly because of the fact that Kerry kicked the ball, which is what it is, football. They kicked the ball more times than any other team. And that was the same back in your day. Yeah. Although at one stage you were doing basketball stuff into the net, etc., and you were playing half basketball. You were illegal, I would say.
Did you score any of those bomber type goals?
No, I never scored. They were gone when I came. But I suppose you look at it, the quality. It comes from the coaching in Kerry, from the clubs and from the GDAs and around the county, the development squads. They're so natural. They're able to adapt to whatever comes in front of them. And Dylan Ganey is an example of that. He's playing with huge confidence now.
And he's two-footed.
He's two-footed. Playing with huge confidence, and I think I'm open to contradiction. I think he had 11 shots and 11 scores, got 13 points in the championship. I don't think he's
so far
2-pointers. And the other player you have to mention as well is Keith Evans. Like, if you're looking at a player to have patience, to stay in there, like, did he get any game time last year? No,
very little.
Very little.
Yeah.
But he stayed in, came through the league. And even the last day when he came on, people are asking the question, was he going for the goal? Was it a fluke? I think he was going for it.
I think he was going for it as well,
yeah. But his acceleration and his pace is exceptional. And he played with another player that's on top of his game, went for it, chipped the keeper, and game
he could be the perfect impact sub for Croke Park.
Absolutely. Croke Park suits him.
Yeah,
100%.
It's going to suit him big time, yeah. Okay, let's forget about it, but leave that in the past. It's a win, and it gets us into quarterfinal only, and we could be coming down the road from Dublin on Saturday night, licking our wounds. So in this game, it's next game up, and it's against Tyrone. Are this Tyrone team, John Kennedy, are they too nice compared to the team of the naughties, who were naughty but nice in terms of Ricey and the boys? And I saw Owen Mulligan talking about it before they played Roscommon. He was saying the problem with this team is, during the league, etc., they're too nice. We need to be, to play the tough and rough football, as well as talent, obviously, that they have. So do you think that they're going to physically put it up to Kerry on Saturday evening?
I think there was questions asked to Tyrone, particularly in the last few games. They had to stand up and be counted. Malik O'Rourke, it's a transition for them. The McGearys and the Michael McKierns and those in defence, they are no angels either. They play within the rules, but they're hard and tough. They're good footballers. They have a very good midfield pairing in Kilpatrick and Kennedy.
Brian Kennedy,
and up front, maybe it wasn't really happening for them. You look at they beat Mayo in a game that they looked in trouble at different periods, but they introduced Darren McCurry, who's had a terrible campaign in the league with injuries. His form was gone, but he came on, he kicked 6 points, and you could sense the Tyrone support, and you could sense the team, responding to it. And then Niall Morgan kicked a superb 2-pointer to win the game. You could say that Mayo were robbed, but this was a huge game for Tyrone. It was a marker. They're back in Croke Park, and that was the aim at the start, to get back to Croke Park. And the underage talent that they have coming in. Let's not forget Derek Canavan.
They say that the Canavans would be back this weekend. Whether they'll start or not now is another matter. And you have McIlhone, of course.
Ethan Jordan, these are
Ronan
Cassidy. These are all good footballers, and they've had underage success.
And
I know there's a huge difference, but they won't fear Kerry.
Yeah.
And they'll be going to Croke Park full of confidence. It's a free shot for them, really.
Yeah.
There's no
John,
pressure.
Kerry defensively have been so impressive over the past couple of games. Now I know the Kildare one wasn't a real test, but the last day they were really solid at the back, and Paul Murphy back in, and you know, the rest of the team. Mike Breen, like, is if we continue winning, is an all-star, no doubt about it. Like, he's been outstanding. Graham O'Sullivan has switched to the back, has worked. You know, Dylan Casey's doing his job. Is there a better full back around than Jason Foley? Yeah. So all in all, that defence with the four across the middle, you know, I think the Tyrone attack will have to up it at least 20% to penetrate and to hurt us there.
Yeah, the one thing John touched on it there with Tyrone, they had a dreadful National League. Like, they would have been expected to come out of Division 2 and they only finished 5th, I think it was. Yeah. It was like, for them, that was a horrendous National League performance. But since the championship started, they obviously got a lot of work done during the break, and they pushed Armagh all the way. Remember that first game in the Ulster Championship? They only lost by a point after extra time. And then you follow it on. They were waiting in the long grass for Roscommon after Roscommon celebrating the Connacht Championship, and they beat them by a point. And now they're after beating Mayo by a point. So all three Tyrone Championship games this year have been 1 point margins, either for or against, which tells you that they're in every single game until the finish. Go back to last year, and Kerry started off really slowly in that semi-final last year, if you remember, against Tyrone.
Yeah,
I think they were 4-1 down, 5-1 down maybe, and it didn't look that great in the first 10 or 15 minutes for Kerry. Eventually, David Clifford gets a goal before half-time, and Kerry go on to win by 6.
6, yeah.
But like, that wasn't a walk in the park. And Tyrone have lost Peter Hart and Padraig Hampsey from last year. And it's true that it is not the same team as what won the All-Ireland in 2021. Yeah. The likes of Conor Myler and Rona McNamee and Cathal McShane and Conor McKenna over with the Brisbane Lions, they're all gone. But it is a team, as John says, with a nice blend of youth and experience. You still have McKiernan, McGeary, Kilpatrick, Kennedy. Matty Donnelly has been having a fantastic season.
14,
many people would have felt he was finished last year after that game against Kerry. But he's been one of their stars. The big questions will be, do they throw Darren McCurry straight in from the start and Derek Hanavan? Like, they're massive. Kerry have had Darren McCurry's measure now for a while.
Yep.
If I were Tyrone, I'd nearly hold him and use him off the bench. But they'll definitely want, if Derek Hanavan is any way close to fitness, you have to put him in.
Yeah.
Because he will cause problems for Kerry. He's just a fantastic forward who takes a lot of watching. The game will be decided in that middle of the field.
Midfield possession.
Yeah, I remember going back to 2023 when we were drawn against them. There was all this fear that, if you remember, Diarmuid O'Connor and Jack Barry wouldn't cope with Kilpatrick and Kennedy.
Yeah.
And they came out, and Diarmuid and Jack were fantastic that day. Kerry hammered them.
Yeah.
Then you go back to last year, and then we had a different midfield partnership against Kilpatrick and Kennedy, and we got the better of them.
Yeah.
Now we have 4 men around the middle. And they will need to really, if Tyrone looking at it, they'll have to help Kilpatrick and Kennedy, because they won't be able to do it all on their own. So I think if Kerry even break even around midfield, that the Kerry forwards will do the business more than Tyrone up the other end of the pitch.
Do you think they will man mark David Clifford, but we have other forwards as well, as we've seen last weekend, who have to be. Will they go zonal? Will they go man to man? Are they going to push out on us? Are they going to push up on our kick out and try and disrupt it? What are they likely to do? Are they a team that do that? And then we have to keep our discipline, I think, as well, because black cards or red cards or anything picked up in this game could be very costly going forward in a semi-final and a final.
Oh, there's no doubt. It's discipline is going to be key. I think we've seen that in the last few weeks. You know, you lose a player, it's a huge disadvantage. Teams tend to make hay while they're down to 14 men. I don't think Tyrone will change their tactics too much, you know, but they will not. Their defence, in particular, won't have come up against the forward line like Kerry's. I think the movement we have, you know, the inside. Whether if we'll presume that they'll start the same team, we're not sure what they will.
Will Peter take Clifford? Do you think?
He probably will.
He's been having a very good season.
He's a good player, yeah.
He's having a good season.
Sure.
Paul Ganey and Dylan teams to come out around the D and that three, and then you have your four across the middle, like Joe O'Connor's running, Diarmuid O'Connor's work rate, and then you have the two midfielders. Like, it's going to be huge around that.
Do you think they'll put Michael McKiernan on Paddy? Because if Paddy drifts back, as he's often inclined to do, and pick up ball around midfield and even back further, McKiernan can score.
Yeah, I think they will.
He likes to go forward too, McKiernan.
McKiernan likes to put guys in the back foot.
Yeah.
And I think they will. Paddy has been going well. While he's not scoring for us, he's very important. He holds possession. He's the link man. And, he's very cool on the ball. So that could be... They will identify Paddy, I think, but we have so many trump cards that have they the guys to mark them? Yeah. And like John said, will T go on David? If he does, then McGeary. There's a little bit of inexperience as well. So it's the middle diamond is going to be huge.
Yeah. Could it come to the stage, John, where opponents of Kerry, when they're picking their team, they have to say to themselves, well, we're not just picking two midfielders, we're going to pick four midfielders and play two of them at half-back on Joe O'Connor and Diarmuid O'Connor. Is that the way that eventually it'll come if Kerry continue to dominate around the middle with the four?
Yeah, I think it is, because we have four midfielders playing across the middle.
Yeah.
Their ball winning ability is unbelievable, but I think it's their work rate. I think Joe O'Connor brings you a dimension that, when there's a gap, Joe goes for it. It's a straight line run. Yeah. And we saw that from the goal he scored. But apart from that, his work rate, I think in the Kildare game, people didn't see it probably if they weren't up there, but he ran about 50 metres to dispossess one of the Kildare attackers, and we got a score from it at the other end. That's unbelievable work rate. We have that all over the field. And as well as that, then we have the defence to cope. Like you said, we have the mark on McCurry. Will they start him? Looking for Malik O'Rourke, he'll want to get everything going from the very start. If he gives Kerry a lead, I don't think they'll come back.
Good manager. John, do you think that possessions are great at midfield, but possession, whether it is breaking ball or a fetch, a score off it is absolutely crucial. And Kerry have been very good at that. Other teams don't seem to be able to do that. They've got to recycle.
That's probably because they don't kick the ball forward as quickly as Kerry do.
Yeah. So do you think that that's going to be crucial and that Kerry will adopt that the next day?
Oh, definitely. With the extra space in Croke Park as well. Like Kerry will try to hit the inside line early. Tyrone will be expecting that as well. They will, obviously, where they can, try and double up on David Clifford. But like you say, that will leave space for your Dylan Gainey's and your other forwards. And you're talking about that midfield diamond. Like, there's still a lot of scorers in Diarmuid O'Connor. It mightn't be happening right now, but Diarmuid O'Connor, on his day, he does have the ability to kick 2, 3, 4 points in a game. Maybe Saturday will be the day that he steps forward as a big scoring option as well. The interesting thing, I suppose, from a Kerry perspective, and we touched on it off air, was will Jack make changes from the starting 15 from
You're
last
the
weekend?
experts, so that was my next question, G. You're the experts. He has 15 who started the last day. They obviously brought on Seanie O'Shea, a number of subs, and when we were well clear, why change a winning team? But how can you have Micheál Burns back? He played with Crokes the weekend, it got 1-2, 1-3 or something right in the county league, so he's still sharp.
Will he be on the 26?
You have Seanie O'Shea, of course. We've been pining for all year. So why would you leave him on the bench? Like Tyrone go over, or will Tyrone, at half time be a point or two behind, and all of a sudden, 10 minutes to second half, Seanie strips off and comes on. Sure, and you have Keith Evans, of course, and
Gavin White.
You have
Tony
Gavin
Brosnan.
White, Tony Brosnan, Gavin White. So, and Shane Ryan versus Shane Murphy. I think if we start there, I think Shane Murphy has done enough over the last 2 games that at the moment, he's the man in possession. He's done nothing wrong. His kick-outs have been unbelievable. I think he has to start.
Oh, no doubt, Murt. I'd be starting Shane Murphy if I was Jack, but then again...
Is that because you like the Crokes?
No, but I'll be honest with you, you have to give fierce credit to Shane Murphy.
Yeah.
He came in for a lot of debate during the
criticism
league.
on Terrace Talk.
To be fair, he did, like his kick-outs, you know, the amount of kickouts. We won our own kickouts. You know, there was, and again, he was being compared to Shane Ryan, which is always difficult. But he has come through that, and I think he has made the number one position his own.
Yeah.
And if you look throughout the field, like John said, a lot of guys that have come back, they may not be firing in all cylinders, but is there any player in that 15 that's not playing well?
Yeah.
So, you know, you have Gavin White, you have Shawnee Shea.
But let's be honest, right? Let's be honest here. The 15 that started the last day played very well and won the game, right? But if you were asked to pick the best 15 footballers in the county, surely Gavin White and Shawnee Shea would be on the 15. In fact, I would say they would be in the top 6.
Gavin White,
but that doesn't mean they'll start this particular weekend.
No.
I disagree entirely with you.
Because I think Jack will pick the same team as last week, because the performance was pretty faultless. There was no player on the team that particularly left the side down. I think Jack will feel that Gavin White and Sean O'Shea and a few others are not 100% ready to start, and that they're of more use to the team at this weekend. I'm not saying that'll be the case in 4 weeks' time if we're in an All-Ireland final, but for this weekend I think he will feel that Gavin and Sean are more used to being used off the bench, like you say, for big impact boost in the second half with the likes of Keith Evans. Micheál Burns will come back into the 26, I think.
Yeah.
I would expect him to, because he might have got some criticism after being sent off against Donegal, but people forget that in that match where we didn't play well, he was one of our best players up to half time. That shouldn't be forgotten either, and I don't think management will forget that. But I can't see, like, Kerry are a better team with Gavin White and Sean O'Shea in it, 100%. Yeah. Everyone knows that. They're still probably a better team with Shane Ryan in goals. But that doesn't mean that those 3 players will start this weekend. I see Tomás O'Shea mention it at the weekend on TV. Like, we've 4 All-Stars. Yeah. Tom O'Sullivan might be available for the 26th this week. Jack said he was very, very close and he was back training again. And as Tomás O'Shea put it, you've 4 All-Stars trying to come back and get a place in the team. But who loses out for them?
Yeah. Well, Tomás is saying that Kerry are going to win it out. So is that the end of Yeraism?
Maybe it is, but just come back to, you have to give credit to the management team and to Jack and to the medical people. You look at Paul Murphy, he was over with injury.
Yeah, 3 months.
Paul Murphy, a cameo appearance against Kildare, obviously he was ready for 70 minutes, and he proved that last Saturday. If Gavin White and Shawnee Shea are ready, I think they'll start, but I don't think they're ready yet. I think there's another week or 2.
I don't want to split hairs with you, because neither of us can afford.
Because if you Paul Murphy said after the game last week, and it was an interesting thing, that he'd kind of been in full training for 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah. But yet Jack waited 6 weeks before putting him back into the team.
I know.
Because they're not going to take any risks with players at this stage of the season unless they have to.
But we're in Croke Park now, John. It's a different story.
It's not a different story, no.
We're near the finishing line.
We're not near the finishing line.
A month ago, we were 2 games.
We're still, if you get injured, if you play a player on Saturday that's not fully fit and fully ready to play, and they get injured, they're gone for the rest of the championship.
Why have them on the bench and bring him on for 20 minutes or whatever? How much did Shawnee Shea play the last day?
I suppose
he came on
15, 20 minutes, was it?
Yeah, 20 minutes. So why is he training with the team? He came on for 15, 20 minutes, and now you're telling me he's not fit to play 70 minutes. Yeah,
I would presume that is the case at this moment in time.
And as well as that,
yes.
Are you a doctor?
Well, I would say that Jack and the management and the physios and the doctors within Kerry would know more than we do here. So if they consider that he's not fit enough to start a game, I would take their judgment.
And I think we've seen for the last number of years, other counties, players are not ready, not fully ready. They start them,
and then they have to bring them off,
and they aggravate the injury, and they're gone. I think we have Jack has put faith on his squad, and to leave. What message is it sending out to the rest of the squad when you have Gavin White and Shawnee Shea building up to full fitness inside the training, and they're not starting? it's a real vote of confidence to the rest of the lads. And then equally,
it's a vote of no confidence in the two boys.
But you're in Croke Park next weekend, and say
and if you want them straight back into the team on Saturday evening, Murt, after the performance, tell me the two you're dropping.
First of all, Shawnee O'Shea is a spiritual leader. He always has been of that team. His performances last year and the year before, and in our All Ireland final win was it 2023, the semi-final against.
But no one is doubting any of that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
So he deserves. He got injured, right? Training with Kerry or whatever, rather than training with his club. Although he got injured with his club as well. But they shouldn't have been even in the O'Donoghue Cup semi-final. So, my point is, if I have a player, it'd be like leaving Lionel Messi on the team is playing well, they're beating Ghana or whatever 4-0, and then Lionel Messi, he's fit. No, we'll bring him the second half. If he's on the squad and if he's in the 26, he's fit to play. And if he's fit to play, what about if a cornerback, if Paul Murphy gets injured after 5 minutes, or say the wing back, Graham O'Sullivan gets injured, do you bring Gavin White in and he plays 65 minutes, you say, but he wasn't fit to play 70.
Again, you're not answering our question. Tell me the two players you're dropping.
That's what we have to look at, and that's why I wanted to broaden the discussion.
Tell us the two players you're dropping.
I have no idea who they'll drop right now. No, but I'm saying these two players, room will have to be made for them.
But I think, Murt, you look, there's no question or doubt, if anybody around this county was given a paper, picked their 15.
Yeah, they'd be on it.
Gavin White and Shawnee Shea are on, we know that.
But Shane Ryan would be on it too, Murt, as well.
Absolutely, but I think...
So do you want Shane Ryan on Saturday?
No, Shane Ryan is behind the other lads in terms of the...
But you said once they're on the 26th that they're available for selection and they're fine.
Is a specialised position. And the man in goals right now doesn't deserve to be dropped.
So who does deserve to be dropped in the outfield positions?
There are another 14 players in there.
You're still not answering the question.
But you putting I'm the host.
We're the two that are saying that it'll probably be the same team as last week. You're the one who's saying that there should be changes.
There'll have to be room made.
Yeah, for who? So who you're dropping?
Well, I'd have Shawnee Shea for Paul Ganey.
Right. And Gavin in for?
Someone at the back, maybe Brino Bigley, maybe.
Right, so you don't think Brino Bigley is as important to the team and has proven that as Gavin?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
another
the two boys...
Another option is Dylan Casey. You could put Graham O'Sullivan back on her back.
You could do
Paul
that,
Murphy. I think that Shawnee Shea wasn't in our 26 up in Kildare. He was under 26 last week.
Yeah.
Before the game, I saw the teams were out. They were walking around. Jack was over talking to Shawnee. They had to walk down through the middle of the pitch, and obviously he was going to get game time.
Yeah. He played a small cameo last week, Murt. It's a big, massive difference to playing 10, 15, 20 minutes in Killarney in a game that was over already to starting the following week in Croke Park.
So what you do, you bring him on the next day, and then do you start him in the semi-final?
Yeah, well, you have a 2-week gap.
A 2-week gap, yeah.
Yeah, but do you start him in the semi-final?
And
depending on how we play this weekend.
And who do you drop then for the semi-final?
It depends on how the game goes this weekend.
And Gavin White, if he comes on and he's fit, do you drop him for the semi-final? I have the courage of my convictions. I'll tell you who maybe should make way for these two lads, because I think Gavin White and Shawnee Shea, if they're fit, which I think they are.
That's our point is that if management considered them to be 100% fit, they would be starting.
And what about if management follow my advice and pick them? What do you say then? Well, you were wrong. Will you apologise?
Obviously, if the management team and the medical staff feel that that both players are fully fit.
You're an events manager.
Are fully fit for 70. If they're fully fit for 70 minutes, they'll start. But I don't think that they're ready for 70 minutes. That's only me looking in.
Yeah. And that's what it looks like from the outside.
Did you play for Kerry?
We said a while ago about Shawnee Shea being the spiritual leader.
Yeah.
You didn't have to ask any question. Anyone in Fitzgerald Stadium last Saturday, the minute he came out to warm up, when he got the finger from Kieran O'Neill or Jack to get ready, the whole place erupted. He's our spiritual leader.
That is whether he's on the pitch or off the pitch.
On or off.
Spiritual leader is like Jesus or God. So do you leave God on the sideline? if you were picking a team?
Rumours you've left God on the sideline years ago.
It depends. I would think they'll start the same team, being honest. That's my
okay, look, I'm not going to change your mind on this. Move on to Kieran Donaghy, the influence of Kieran Donaghy. Now, because of the Camogie game, obviously I was covering that last Saturday and it's on the same time as the game in Killarney, so I watched it afterwards on GA Go, which is a great service, by the way. And I can see what all the hullabaloo's about. It's you pay a couple of quid and you get your game. I mean, the people who are complaining never go to games anyway, in terms of, if you look at the general public, some of them will give out and they're in bar stools talking about it, and then they're saying old folks in every hospital and old folks home and St. Columban's and Killarney have GA Plus, and they can watch the game and they put it on for the older folk in there. You'll get there someday. I'm not saying to Columban's, but you'll get old someday. So like I think, and politicians of course are virtue signalling on it, and it's crazy stuff.
So you've gone from David Beckham one week to old folks home the next week. That's a big drop.
That's a big drop.
It's a huge come down for you. But the influence of Kieran Donaghy, I could hear him the last day telling them, shouting instructions to the lads, and it was clear, and they were following the instructions, and it worked so well in that second half. I don't know, can he do the same in Croke Park or not, but he must be a huge inspirational figure, as well as a very good coach in there. And Jack seems to have, in one side of the pitch, seems to have given him his head, and himself and Dr. or Professor Keane are on the other side. So Kieran Donaghy, his influence?
Huge influence, but look, I think everybody said when he came in, it was a great move by Jack. You know, Kieran was in Armagh, you know, he's enough experience as a player, hugely respected. And, you know, he went away and he served his time away and was successful, winning in All-Ireland with Armagh, part of that management team. And you can see the influence he has. He's on the line, he's playing every ball, he's a forwards coach. And I think that it's a big plus to have him.
Mm-hmm. He's good. John, do you rate? Obviously, you rate.
He's the ultimate.
I've seen him in basketball inspiring comebacks by Warriors, and he was like, I won't say it was gone beyond his sell-by date, but you know, he was one of the veterans on the team, and he was better than most of the youngsters. But the way I remember one day I think it was in Tralee and in the gym there in the complex before the roof caved in. And there were 17 points down, 19 points down, and he brought him back and they won the game. And it was him brought him back. Now they're two good Americans and good other players as well, Owen Quigley, etc. I mean, just making the point that he's just this inspirational figure, and he draws, and you know, it was just physicality against the opposition, got them riled, and they forgot their game plan, and he was in there.
He's just an ultimate people person.
Yeah,
he's just a guy that you just love being around his company. I can't imagine what it's like for the players now to have him in and around the camp. And I think it was a really, really smart move on all sides by Kerry, because when you win the All-Ireland, you still have to do something different the following year if you're going to do it again. It can't be exactly the same team. It can't be exactly the same setup.
It's not the same team you've dropped.
So bringing in a freshness that Kieran has brought to the scene is obviously a huge boost. And he's just universally a popular character. I can imagine for players, like, he's going to be massive for Tomas Kennedy's development over the next couple of years. He's probably
White when he gets in there, another Tim coming up.
Yeah, he's probably brought extra strings to Dylan Gainey's bow as well. You know, Kieran would be able to give little tidbits to David Clifford even. You know, just on winning ball, angles, all that kind of stuff as well, especially aerially. We even saw it in the post-match press conference last week. Like, as Kieran McGeeney was doing his press conference for us, Kieran came in, big handshake, big hug between the pair of them. They didn't forget each other. They shared a lot of times together in Armagh. They won an All-Ireland together, and there was no gloating from Kieran Donaghy on his part.
And no bitterness by Kieran.
Exactly. No bitterness by Kieran McGeeney. It was two friends appreciating each other. But yeah, Kieran is massive for Kerry.
So now, John, you picked the team. It's on your shoulders. So how are we going to get on?
I think we'll win Murt. You know, I think that the momentum we have, like John said, we're improving, and it's always good to have a little bit more in the tank. You know, not a lot of mistakes made the last day. You know, a lot of good stuff. Is there more in a lot of the players? Yes, there is. But I think we're set up very well defensively. You know, Jason Foley is playing outstanding football. Mike Breen is so solid inside.
Yeah.
And you know, our half back line overall are very solid. We have the 4 across the middle, as we've already said, and then we have space above. And you know, we have the options to come in. I think we're in a very good place. I'd agree. Tommaso Shea made a comment on Sunday night. It's Kerry's to lose.
You know,
I think a few weeks ago I said the best 3 teams in no particular order were Kerry, Armagh and Donegal. 2 of the 3 are gone. Galway are probably in the next.
Galway, I think.
In the next. You know, is it going to be easy to win the All-Ireland? No, it's not. And this is going to be a huge test the next day against Tyrone. But I think we're good enough to win it.
Are you going to back it up as an events manager? Are you going to put some of your money down 900 to win 200? We're 2 to 9.
I think we will win it. 1. We will win it, but
I think more.
The draw is 8 to 1.
I think
Tyrone are 5 to 1.
When it comes to this stage of the season, injuries define everything. Like if you go back 2 months, would we be in this position now if we had the same team right now as we had 2 months ago? We probably wouldn't.
No.
So it does make a huge difference. That's why Galway are a gigantic threat to everybody, because they pretty much have a full hand at the moment. They're not suffering from injuries. Their one big absentee is on Love Island probably. But everyone else, they have. No, I can't. World Cup. They have everybody else back.
You'd have made it. We could put you forward next year.
Too old.
Oh, that's right. You're over 50. And so Kerry, you reckon as well?
I reckon Tyrone will give Kerry a big test, because they always do. You're never going to get anything else off
a
Tyrone.
gut check kind of? Is that,
a gut check for 40-45 minutes anyway, because they're that type of a team. But I think Kerry are too good. They're too composed to let the victory last week be wasted now. There's no point doing what they did last week if you're going to go out and be beaten this coming weekend. They won't take Tyrone for granted. Experience has told them that in the past. But they know they're better than Tyrone at this moment in time. So Kerry to win.
Right, so we have 4 minutes left. Because I know, although I'm not looking at him, that our producer, JC, is making hand signals with a stopwatch.
That was about 10 minutes ago.
No, we're not too bad. So we have 3 other games. The game before us is Mayo and Cork. I know how much you like Cork. You do a lot of business up there, so be very careful here. Mayo are even money, Cork are 6 to 5. That's basically even money each of 2. It's a 50-50 game. And who do you think is going to win it? Mayo were very porous in defence the last day. And Cork blow hot and cold, but they had a very good win over Donegal. And they really proved their worth the last day as well. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the victory by Cork up in Donegal was huge, because it was a season-defining game for John Cleary. They've had a good year. You know, they got promotion back to Division 1.
Yeah.
You know, would have been disappointed, I'd say, the whole Cork set-up with the second half in Killarney against Kerry.
Yeah.
Didn't come out in the second half.
Didn't turn up.
Probably wasn't allowed to turn up either, but you know, they'll be disappointed. They went up to minus O'Callaghan, and a great victory.
Yeah.
Dug it out, small Cork crowd up there, but a lot of togetherness. They were on the pitch afterwards.
So they flew up.
And they flew, but the team flew up.
They flew down.
But I think that you know.
And the players stood up for their supporters.
They did.
Correct.
They did,
on the pitch.
On the pitch, yeah.
They did, yeah. But I think, you know, the likes
you did that Fresh Tea back in the day.
The likes of Daniel Mahoney and Brian O'Driscoll will say, and Tommy Welsh, Luke Fahey in defence. They're playing very well, playing with confidence. I think. Can
Stephen Sherlock keep it up? Well, I mean, his scoring and his 2-point scoring. Or is somebody going to blunt his threat?
Yeah, some of the 2-pointers they got, Fahey and Welsh against Donegal, were exceptional. I think Welsh's one where he won a dirty ball on the ground. He burst out. He was almost falling with the outside of his right boot. Yeah. He spit the upright.
Was it a Holy Mary?
They are huge scores. Yeah. Maybe it was. But Sherlock is brilliant. And you know, they have a few influence, Corbett, look, and Chris Jones. They have talent. I think, isn't it great to see Kobe McDonald in Croke Park?
Yeah.
I think that's great. I'm looking forward to that alone, because
he'll be gone shortly.
Huge talent. Jordan Flynn and Jack Carney were outstanding in the middle of the field for them. I think Flynn kicked 5 points. It's a big game for Andy Moran. A lot of criticism with the way they played in Connacht. They're back in the quarterfinal.
Who's going to win?
I think Cork will win.
You think Cork will win?
Yeah.
Both teams have done brilliantly to get this far, because they were in periods where they were at a really low ebb. Cork leaving Killarney that night would have felt so disappointed with that performance. John Cleary, even while he tried to put a brave face on it afterwards, he was gutted. That was their opportunity against a depleted Kerry. But what they've done since, to beat Meath with 14 men, like we saw how we got on with 14 men against Donegal, we were out of the game and gone. Yeah. Cork had 20 minutes with 14 men and beat Meath. Yeah. That would have increased the togetherness. Then to go to Ballybuffet and win is unbelievable. Mayo, on the other hand, had 2 massive gut checks. They lost to Roscommon by 10 points. Yeah. And then they lost to Niall Morgan with the last 2-pointer of the game. And for them to come back and beat Meath last week off a 6-day break was fantastic as well. I think Mayo are trying to go 3 weeks in a row. I think Cork have had 2 weeks. I think Cork might edge over the line with Colm O'Callaghan's return from suspension, the big difference.
Big difference. Monaghan and Louth, an unusual pairing, but I've been very impressed by both teams, but particularly Monaghan. Jack McCarron coming off the bench, kicking scores for fun. They're a good side now. Yeah, they're tough.
They had a terrible league campaign, and Gabriel Brannigan got guys back. You know,
very. Did they get relegated?
Decent manager. You know, but they're an amazing county. You know, they're not big in numbers, but they have a lot of talent, and that was a huge victory last weekend for them. You know, and begging in goals, he's playing exceptional stuff. You know, anything from 60 metres in. I think they'll beat Louth.
Monaghan will win. Monaghan, Louth in a word or two.
I'm going to go for Louth to nick it by 2 or 3.
They're actually 6-4 and Monaghan are 4-5. So yeah, nice return if you had that. And the final one, which is the big one, I suppose, maybe the next best to our clash with Tyrone. That's Galway playing Dublin. Dublin are about 2-1, Galway 8-13. Very strongly fancied Galway. Do you think Galway? Now it'll be in the backdrop, obviously a very sad week for them, and I'm sure the players will bind together and as a unit, and they'll go to Croke Park and try and win this one. I'm impressed with Galway. I think they'll win it.
Yeah, Galway. Pádraig Joyce is he's everybody back. His coach was saying last week or the week before it was the first time he had an injury-free squad. That's huge. A lot of talent all over the field. Yeah. You know, their marquee players are going well. It's a big ask for Dublin after last week. Yeah. You know,
would you bring Sean Fischel back from Love Island?
No, I wouldn't.
Do you watch Love Island?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, don't.
Half the country is watching it. Have you got TV in HD? You have. Right. John O'Dowd, I know you've got television in Tarbert. Dublin and Galway.
I think Dublin is all about Conor O'Callaghan. He really is an unbelievable player. He believed to have picked up a bit of an injury in the closing stages last week against Donegal, so his presence or otherwise is absolutely pivotal. He needs to be at 110%. But Dublin, like it's a brilliant victory, and they've definitely been rejuvenated by Ger Brennan coming back onto the bench. That's been absolutely massive. They have a purpose, they have an anger, they have a motivation factor to pretty much shove it up to the GA in general and go on and win the All-Ireland. But I do think Galway, they've had a 2-week break. It is a sad week. They'll want to come out and deliver for Paul Clancy, who had a wonderful left foot, was a great player to watch in the 2 games against Kerry in the 2000 final. I echo your lovely sentiments from earlier, Murt. It's a sad loss to the Galway footballing community. I think if they play to their best, Galway win.
Yeah, Galway look the favourites there. I think if there is to be a shock over the weekend, I think it's that game. I think Dublin, they're basically at home in Croke Park, and as you say, they have a cause with Ger Brennan, and the way
it won't be a shock once they beat Donegal. Dublin can beat anyone potentially now. They are that dangerous.
Yeah, they are dangerous, and they've got a few good young fellas in as well. So that's the views of our panel, and that's our podcast, our All-Ireland Quarterfinal podcast, brought to you in associations with Cronin's 0-0 Cider and of course Parker's Bar. We'd like to thank Mike, who was too shy to come before the cameras to say hello to us and tell us all things good that's happening here over the next couple of weeks, and that Joe Dolan band that's coming, or that do Joe Dolan songs, they're coming in July. And half the county want to come here and he won't talk about it. I don't know what's wrong with the man, but we'll get him later. So thanks to my panel, John Kennedy, thank you. As always, your comments are very measured, if incorrect. And to John O'Dowd, well, I have to be a bit nicer to you because you might give me a bit of work here and there. So yeah, John O'Dowd, very, very intelligent and precise.
I know you're lying.
I know you're lying. And to JC John C. O'Shea, of course, our producer, who have this up later on. And if he doesn't, he'll get a rapport.
He would have had it up earlier if you finished earlier.
So he is the main man behind the camera. We'd like to thank him as well. And as again, to Michael Parker and the Parker family, we thank them very much for giving us this venue tonight. So we'll be back next week again, and we'll look back on how right or how wrong we were. What team is starting is going to be absolutely crucial. And God help the two boys if I'm right. Probably won't be, but if I am, I will crucify them. So on that lovely note,
threat,
we will say goodbye for now, and we'll talk to you again next week.